The Crooked Old Man. Skin o' skin, it's either your best friend or just the nightmare that lives in your dreams. In this story, it actually comes from a nightmare from the dear writer sharing it after figuring out the ending from so many months. Hello, my name is Zero, and this is my story. I was walking around in the woods, not paying attention to the whispers and the cold wind, watching the dark. Shadowed trees dancing with the roars of the night. It seemed to be about midnight or so. I don't really know, I was far from home. I guess I didn't care, I needed some air anyways from not being able to sleep. I walked for a couple of hours longer, before seeing a dim light in the distance. It seemed like some kind of old broken-down cabin. I don't know why it was there, or why I got this idea, but I decided it would be a good idea to go check it out. So I walked over to check out the cabin before seeing a man who looked very old and crinkly. Words can't describe, but he looked immortal in a way. He looked at me with a crooked and missing smile.
"Are you lost?"
asked the man. I looked at him, not knowing what to say. No, I know my way back home. I'm just getting some fresh air at the moment and sought the cabin. I paused and looked at the cabin. Is this yours by any chance? He looked at me while his smile would slowly fade away, while he'd look at it himself, looking back at me.
"Well, yes it is, young one,"
the man said.
"Would you like to come inside and take a look?"
I looked at the cabin, knowing it wasn't the right thing to do, giving in anyways. Sure, it wouldn't hurt to take a little peek, wouldn't it? I said. He walked me in, and a horrible smell like no other hit my nose, causing me to cover my nose with my hand. I didn't want to be rude, but had to. He gave me a look.
"Sorry about the smell. We haven't gotten it taken care of yet."
He'd cough, yelling a name that sounded like Jennifer. He'd call her name for a few minutes longer, realizing she wasn't coming, while he'd sigh, walking around the house, showing me around before we'd run across an old rotting corpse, and I'd gasp, looking at it, shocked.
"Jennifer, there you are. I was calling you for a few minutes, but you didn't answer. Me!"
He'd kiss the corpse, causing me to become sick, asking where the bathroom was running off to, and locking myself in there for a few minutes. The smell never left though, but instead, it got worse. He came over to the bathroom, knocking and asking if I was okay, while I'd answer with a yeah, coming out after noticing the smell wasn't getting any better. He'd look at me, noticing I was struggling.
"Do you need a gas mask? I have one over in my room if you want to follow me, and I can give you one. I could make you food too if you'd like. I never gotten company before, so I'd like it if you stayed for a bit."
I would look at him, giving off a small nod, while he'd take me to his room, opening the door, seeing more corpse on his bed and on the floor with blood scattered all over the floors and walls, looking around, still shocked, getting the gas mask put over my head by him, getting dragged to the kitchen after a few minutes. Starting to feel funny sitting down at the kitchen table, while that would seem to be the only normal thing in this cabin. He'd walk around grabbing some ingredients and items to cook, while after a few minutes looking at me every 5 seconds, it seemed like. I would take the gas mask off, feeling a bit better, looking over, seeing a barrel filled with cut-up limbs, organs, and scattered guts, looking at him from across the table, seeing him with a butcher's knife and a ear-to-ear smile.
"Don't you remember the quote? Don't talk, look, or follow strangers? Now, you'll be turned into lunch in my new floor mat?"
I'd get up so quickly, running off to the front door, trying to open it, seeing him slowly follow behind, while his smile grow wider and wider with every step he took, raising the knife higher every second. While I'd finally bust the door open, seeing his shadow run towards me, slamming his fingers into the door, hearing him yell in anger and pain, running far from the cabin with the extra time. I got successfully getting away from him and taking a break in the middle of the woods close to my house, smelling the fresh air after a while, finally getting back into the house and locking the door. I got some weird looks, but I didn't care. I was just glad I was alive. I went upstairs to my room to lay down before hearing a knock at my door, noticing a close friend walking into my room, wondering why I was out of breath and trembling. I explained the story, seeing the horror and shock on their face, while they'd look at me, asking if it was this man, showing me a newspaper with his exact face on it. Yes, that was him, but why is he in the newspapers? I asked.
"You didn't hear? He died in the late 90s because of what he was caught doing and ended up committing suicide. Before the police would get him and take him into prison,
he said. I looked at him in disbelief after witnessing everything that had already happened. I jumped out of my bed looking at him freaking out, knowing I wasn't crazy. No, 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 no. I won't believe it. I saw it with my own eyes. He was chasing me. He wanted me dead, wanted everything in me. I screamed and yelled, trying to prove my point before getting grabbed by my shoulders and forced to sit down to calm down. He'd look at me knowing I wasn't crazy and believing every word I said, saying,
I know you're not crazy. I believe that happened. Maybe it was his spirit because he did kill himself with a knife, so he maybe wanted revenge or wanted to cover up what happened for himself and make others feel the pain he was feeling. But like I said, you're not crazy. Things happen to us every day and we can't control it.
He'd hug me, explaining a bit more before I'd look at the time, seeing it was getting late and just believing him, thinking I was maybe just tired before laying back down watching him leave and close the door. I'd fall asleep hearing something slide across the window, waking up to the sound of the screeching, looking over and seeing the old man again, thinking I might have been just worried or just seeing things, sitting up covering my ears and closing my eyes for a few minutes before feeling a warm liquid touch my skin, looking over, seeing a blacked out hung body in the doorway, finding out it was my friend, freaking out, not knowing what to do before waking up to the voice of my friend and looking around just to find out it was a nightmare I was having and none of it was real. I gave him a hug before bursting out into tears, getting held in his arms for a few minutes before feeling a bit better after the situation. He'd look at me smiling after noticing I was better.
Are you okay now?
I'd look at him nodding before me, and him decided to walk into the kitchen and get something to drink, before another friend came to me giving me a hug after hearing everything.
Oh my God, are you okay?
She said. I looked at her, giving her a hug back, replying to her, Yeah, I'm fine, thank you, Willow. I'd stop hugging her, looking at my other friend with a small smile. Thank you as well, Finn. I really needed that. He'd look at me smiling.
It's no problem. We all need a friend at some point in our lives. So you have me and Willow by your side if you need anything.
I looked at him with a big smile before telling both of them thank you again before sitting at the table and drinking some coffee to wake me up a bit, while Willow would walk into the living room getting something and Finn would sit beside me keeping his word. I'd look at him laying my head on the table after a few minutes, getting my head pet by Willow before hearing a loud crash, and Finn would yell loudly while me and Willow would run after him, seeing him struggle getting hung, causing me to drop to the ground panicking. Willow would run after the man trying to stop him before getting stabbed in the stomach, hearing her insides get torn in two. I'd yell at the man telling him to stop before tears would stream out of my eyes. He'd throw Willow, watching her take her last breath, seeing her organs slip out of her stomach, dropping Finn, watching him take his last breath also before I'd burst into tears, staring down the old man getting up and running at him without any control, fighting him and throwing punches before getting grabbed and feeling my insides get squeezed. I passed out, feeling my last breath appear, struggling to breathe before letting my body go.